everyone. It's a pleasure again to speak on this stage, and I have the distinct privilege of introducing vendor credit to this august audience. My name is Oluseye, as rightly said, and it's very hard for Oluseyes to bump into each other, so it was an exciting thing to run into him. So our company is called Vendor Credit, and what we focus on is supply chain fulfillment. Credit was where we started from, but we've seen an evolution based on the demand from the market, and I'm happy to introduce you to it. All right. Throughout the course of my presentation, I'll be guided by this outline. Supply chain, simply put, supply chain cuts across everything it is that we do. All of us here are wearing or consuming or bearing a product of supply chain. So your shirts, your shoes, your mobile phones, even this device that we have here. And supply chain simply just speak to all activities, right, that are required to produce a good or a service, ensuring that those goods are produced and ultimately delivered to the final consumer. So as the picture shows from here, it starts all the way from the supplier to the manufacturer, distributor, down to the retailer and consumer. All right. Now, supply chains are important. Like I mentioned earlier, without supply chains, we wouldn't have the products that we have. The goods that we consume would never get into our hands. And driving efficiency in supply chains is key because, of course, it improves customer satisfaction. It can drive down the cost of goods. Unfortunately, in Africa, for instance, the cost of goods are in multiples of what their counterparts in other countries pay. And this is because the supply chain in Africa is broken. And if you know how to utilize your supply chain well, ultimately, it can be a competitive advantage for you as well. So simply put, beyond all of this, now, SMEs account for 9 out of 10 businesses in Nigeria. So it's the same thing with supply chains as well. So the biggest participants in supply chains are SMEs. As our last check, I think there are about 42 million SMEs in Nigeria alone. SMEs in Nigeria contribute to 48% of GDP and 76% of GDP in Africa. SMEs account for 84% of the jobs that we have, which means that 8 out of 10 employees you see, right, work for an SME. Now, SMEs are so critical. They're so critical in the sense that they are pretty much your social security safety net. If anything goes wrong with SMEs, right, it means people are going to lose their jobs, and we know what happens when jobs get lost. Crime goes up, terrorism, and a lot of other things happen as well. So a sector this critical, you would assume that everything that is required to support them, right, to be able to do what they need to do, should be prioritized and given to them. Unfortunately, that's not the case. Statistics show that 9 out of 10 SMEs get rejected when they look for credit. And credit is one of the major things that they need, not just to survive, but also to thrive as well. Like I was saying, working capital, access to capital is a major issue that SMEs face, and that's because the banks perceive them to be very risky. These are some of the other challenges that exist in supply chain, but I'll focus on just access to capital for the course of this presentation. So like I said, the team, Vendor Credit, with supply chain focused Fintech, ensuring that SMEs have what it takes beyond credit to be able to fulfill on orders that they get from companies. So I'll give you a simple example. Tunde and Sons, small business, started their business. They do supply of diesel. And let's mention maybe a Nestle decides to give Tunde and Sons a purchase order for them to supply. Now, if Tunde and Sons, that purchase order represents a revenue opportunity, right? Now, if Tunde and Sons is unable to deliver on that, for whatever reason it is, that opportunity for growth is lost. A second example is Tunde and Sons have limited capital that they are working with, 5 million naira. They've delivered an item, and then maybe a Cadbury or someone else calls them and says, oh, come and supply this item to us as well. Now, because he doesn't have capital and he's already expended the limited capital he has, he's in a situation where he's trapped, right, to the limit of his capital, and then by virtue of that, cannot grow further than he could grow. And that's what we are trying to solve in vendor credit. Some of our solutions are in two wide folds. The first one is financial solutions. Our financial solutions and credit solutions include working capital, instant payment programs, so you don't have to wait 30 days to get paid before you can get your funding. We do supplier advance facilities as well, so we can pay your suppliers in advance so that they can release goods for you to fulfill on orders that have been given to you. We do longer-term project finance as well, purchase order financing, and we are very flexible in trying to customize solutions for corporates that we do with. On the tech side, we have a new product called eTender. eTender allows, instead of you having to look from corporate to corporate, right, trying to find purchase orders and opportunities that exist, eTenders is a platform that allows you to see a variety of purchase orders that exist, so you can bid for them and try for them. So think about it pretty much like the way you look for jobs on LinkedIn. That's what eTenders provides for you. Vendor verification, e-invoicing, those are some of the services that we render as it is. Our process is, the Fintech, the tech part of the business is driven by the technology that we have. So our onboarding process is very straightforward. It's paperless. You have access to it either from the web or your mobile phones. We automate, we put our IP into automating the assessment process so that at the end of the day, from the point in which you're on board, right, to the point in which funds hit your accounts, right, is less than 48 hours. I just thought I'd show you guys, a brief look at what the mobile app looks like. So this page just shows us the onboarding, where the vendor has about 12 million sitting in his account. He's able to quickly apply for loans. He also has a wallet, because what that allows you to do is also to receive payments from the companies that you do business with, and at the same time make payments out to your suppliers to pay salaries and other expenditures that you have. So the products that exist for you to select from, and we'll keep improving and creating new products as well. Others allows us to take feedback from clients so that we know if there's a product that needs to be created based on popular demand, we can work around that and produce that for them. This just shows the brief application process. Note that it's a 4-step process. Anybody that has ever gone to banks or any of these other financial institutions to try and raise capital, you can imagine the requirements that you need to meet and the amount of paper you need to carry. What we've done here is to simplify that process for you in 4 steps. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. At the end of the period, this is the facility that is being granted to Fajeref's enterprise. So once they submit the application, back-end, the churning, that's where our AI and machine learning comes to place in trying to assess your request and determine, if you are successful for this. So at the point at which the loan is approved, an offer is sent to the client with the terms based on the assessments that we've done. Now, if the terms are acceptable to you, you can accept it and attach any other documents that we need for pre-disbursement. If the terms are not acceptable, you can reject it, and then that starts up a conversation as to what your preference would look like. This basically just shows the summary of transactions that the client has, pretty much like your statements. So loans are currently being processed. Loans are requiring documentation. This is the wallet statements, basically just showing you the transactions you've done, the payments in and the payments out of the account. And then this is pretty much like your wallet page, where you're able to, send out money, receive money, fund your wallet, and do transactions. Because ultimately what we're trying to do is to free up vendors and SMEs such that they're able to grow in a sustainable fashion. Okay. So this is one of the things that we're very excited about, eTenders, new product for us. Like I said, we're structuring it like the way LinkedIn works. In the past, I don't know how many people are old enough to, well, there are older people than me here, obviously, but there was a time when you used to check, is it Guardian newspaper on Thursday to see the jobs that you have, right? The reality is that that was 2 decades ago. Unfortunately, in the tendering space, in the supply chain space, the same thing still happens today, where you need to either go to the website of the company or check on papers to see tenders. We're hoping we can centralize all of that with e-tender so that corporates can come to one place, upload the jobs that they have. Same thing for vendors. They can come to one place, look for all the job opportunities that exist, and then bid and apply for it. Leveraging off the back of the infrastructure that we've already created. I think on our platform we have over 12,000 vendors. At least over 1,000 of them have done transactions with us. So we have financial information, confirmed jobs that they've done, ultimately verified vendors. So think about it as if you're a corporate, what this does is that your onboarding process is shortened. You don't need to spend money on verification again because someone has already done that for you. So this just speaks to, just slides of it. I'm not sure if the picture quality is too clear, but I guess we all get the drift. All right. So the dashboard, which allows the vendors to see how much jobs that they've submitted, the bids that they have that are open, the ones that have been successful, their turnout rates, and then any notifications as to new jobs or responses for jobs that they've already bidded for. Basically, like I said, browsing contracts to know what the statuses are, the jobs that are going to expire so that they can, you can schedule it and apply on time, as well as the jobs that are, that are still there or that have expired as well. So this just speaks to all of that in a nutshell. Thank you very much for your time. I hope I didn't bore you guys too much.